What are we doing here? And where are we gonna go? It's like we just woke up one morning and then it's welcome to the show. Don't ask any questions, just go with the flow. Make as much money as you can and try your best not to get broke. Copy everything you see on the TV, from the hairstyles to the clothes, and don't think too often, just do exactly as you're told. And if you ever get confused, then just turn towards the alcohol. You'll still hear your thoughts, then just turn up the radio as you learn to live a lifestyle of drugs, sex, and rock and roll. But in all honesty, I just need to know, is there more to the cycle than growing and getting old? Living and dying just to leave behind a happy home and a whole lot of property that somebody else is going to own. I just really need to know before the casket's closed, 'cause I'm not willing to gamble with my soul, nor am I ready to take any chances. These are just simple life questions and I'm just searching for some answers. Like, what are we doing here? And what is our purpose? How did we get here, and who made us so perfect? And what happens once we go, or is this world all really worth it? Questions we don't answer because apparently we don't really have to. There's no purpose to this life and our existence is merely natural. Then in that case, please let me ask you, did you create yourself, or was it somebody else who had fashioned you? 'Cause you're a being that's impeccable, faultless and unparalleled. You're a product of supreme intelligence and I'm merely being rational. For there isn't a camera on this earth that can come close to the human eye, nor a computer that can compete alongside the human mind. And if the whole world was to come together, we wouldn't be able to create a single fly. So many signs, yet we still deny. As science tries to justify that all this could come from none, when it's a simple sum. 0 plus 0 plus 0 cannot possibly ever give you 1. So from where did all this order come? For everything has its origins, a maker, a creator of its own. I mean, the only reason you're watching this video is because somebody had to press upload. So we can believe in the Big Bang, but I'd rather believe in He who caused it to explode. Allah, the creator of everything along with every single soul. The ever-living, the master, the only one who is in control. Unlike his creation, beyond our imagination. And no, he's not a man, nor does he have any partners in association. He's on his own. And no, he did not ever leave us alone. Just like every manufacturer, he left us with an instruction manual. The Quran and Islam, and I'm sorry to jump to conclusions, but it's the only one possible. The only definition of God is the one and only supreme being. It's logical, a book with 0 contradictions, with miracles that are both scientific and historical, all revealed over 1400 years ago. Like the detailed description of the human embryo.
The descriptions of the human embryo in the Quran cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century.
To the mountains as pegs holding firm the earth below, and the 2 seas that don't mix in a complete separate flow. To the planets in orbit, alternating night and day as they stay in flow. The expansion of the universe and the creation of everything from H2O. To the stories of the past and the preservation of Pharaoh. To identifying the lowest point in the land where Persia defeated Rome. The gushing fluid that created man in the glands between the ribs and the backbone. And not a word has changed, it's still the same. So please explain how all this was known over 1400 years ago. To a man who couldn't read or write, as he would recite whatever the angels spoke. And if you still don't believe, please try to come up with something that's even close. But you can't, so we took God as a mockery and his messengers as a joke.
Muhammad could not read or write. How's somebody who can't read or write gonna start a religion?
Dismissed his scriptures as legends and tales of the ancient folk, as we live life according to our whims, desires, and hopes. saying this life is the only home we will ever know. We will live then die, then simply turn to bones. YOLO! Correction, after the grass dies, the rain arrives and it regrows, and Allah promises to do the same thing to your very soul and bring you back from your very fingertips to your toes, as the all-seeing supreme being watches us so close, and we are surely being tested in our wealth, our health, and our self, and everything that we've been blessed with. So believe, for we will surely be resurrected and be brought back to our Lord and account for every single deed, as He hands us our books and orders us to read. From the bad to the good and everything in between. You yourself are sufficient for your own accountability, so don't be mad at me. You are the one who thought He wouldn't come back to me. I gave you a whole life long to search after me, but you were busy in all that which was temporary, so read. And glad tidings to all those who believed, and if you disbelieve, read. And don't let that day be the first day you find out what your life really means.
Okay, there's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah. I guess let's go from the beginning then. So you guys both believe in God, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So most of the beginning was speaking about the existence of God, the signs of God in nature. And you mentioned before about nature. The Quran speaks about nature a lot, saying, look in nature, look at the sky, look at the trees. A lot of the Quran is like this, saying, look for my signs from the outside and the inside. This is what Allah tells us in the Quran a lot. So we moved through the nature part, and then what did you guys think of the video?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was, I liked when he said, how could 0 + 0 + 0 possibly equal 1? And
yeah.
That is kind of my attitude towards it. I just think, we can't just exist just because. Do you know what I mean? I've never really sort of accepted that. I've always thought, there needs to be a reason. So yeah, I just like the way that he explained that. Yeah.
So you do have a strong inclination towards God inside of you then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You just haven't like subscribed to a religion. That's why you say spirituality. Is that like New Age spirituality, or just like in general, I believe in God but I don't believe in religion?
So my issues with religion is it often is translated by men who's very imperfect in their interpretations.
Men are imperfect.
So I find that's the part where I find it difficult. When you have multiple translations of something into multiple languages, into multiple cultures, into multiple attitudes over many, many centuries. It's a bit like the Chinese whispers. I don't know how that doesn't happen in religious context, because I've seen the variations. I'll use the Bible as an example. There's so many different, like there's the Gideon, there's
over 2,000 different versions of the Bible.
Yeah, and it's like each one can be interpreted in a different way by the person reading it, and how they then translate it, and what they want to pull out of it. And I think that is sadly the context of all man-made touched godlike material.
That's interesting, yeah. So interpretation is always going to vary no matter what, because it's humans, right? All humans are different, that's why we're created. But then there's a difference between things being interpreted differently and things being written differently. Like, for example, the Bible, there are lots of different versions. Like, some versions have a long ending of Mark, some have a short ending of Mark. They have different verses. I mean, in general, even Christians believe in a different amount of books. Like, some Christians believe in 39, some believe in 45, as an example. So there is a huge difference in terms of the Bible. Like, there isn't like one single Bible that's being followed. But in terms of the Quran, I do say that it's been preserved from the time that it was compiled together all the way up until now. There's not a single different Quran. So like the Quran is the Arabic. So like if I was to read an English translation of the Quran, I would say I'm reading an English translation of the Quran. I'm not reading the Quran, because that's why we really preserve the Arabic, and that's why we pray in Arabic, we learn Arabic, because we believe in keeping it as preserved as possible. So from the time that it was revealed up until now, it's not changed one bit. And we have proof, we have manuscripts that date back to the 1st century. We have a strong oral tradition where millions of people have memorized it off by heart. Even now, there's millions of Hafiz. Hafiz is someone who's memorized the entire Quran. that exist in the world, and that tradition's been going since the time of Muhammad, peace be upon him, with chains that are unbroken. So if you said to a Hafiz, what's your chain, they could get their chain, they would tell you, I memorized from him, all the way back to Prophet Muhammad. So that chain is unbroken, and we also have manuscripts that date back to the same century within a few years after Muhammad, and even some parchments that are in the same year that he was alive, for example. So we have like a very strong evidence-based tradition that what we have is exactly the same. There's not different Qurans. You're not going to find like one Quran here, one Quran there. You're going to find people that have interpreted it differently, and that's with anything, because that's what people do. But they will not change a word in it. Like every Quran you read will be the exact same. The English translations will vary because you can't really translate Arabic that well. It's kind of hard to translate. For example, one word in Arabic meaning Samad, you can't translate that into English because it has like all these different words inside of it.
Connotations.
So
linguistics, yeah.
So it's really hard to translate into other languages. But the Arabic Quran is not changed. No matter what Quran you pick up, it's unchanged. What do you think about that?
Because it was originally an oral tradition, that's where my question would get in. I don't know the Quran. I've not yet read it. I have a copy of it.
Interesting.
But I've never read it, so I cannot actually comment on something I've never read. I can't fight with it. But my basic thing would be, because it's translate, it is still coming from an oral tradition. During that oral period, it could easily have been changed by those people. Not consciously, not willingly. It doesn't. I'm not saying any of these things are malicious.
Yeah, of course.
But man isn't perfect.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. I think that would be if it was like maybe one or two people who like memorized it in different places. But because we have hundreds of people that memorized it like together. So when it was first compiled, we're talking like just after Muhammad died, within the year of him dying, it was compiled into a Mus'haf. The Mus'haf is the first version. So this is not the oral tradition now, this is the written version. So the written version was in that first year. And it was all by like his adopted son, his best friend, all people that knew him had memorized from him. And every single verse, when they wrote it down, they cross-checked it across different people. So that's the written version. So we have the oral tradition, which is with like those long chains, and then we also have the written version. And I think the way we describe it is like, imagine ABCD, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, someone could start changing it, but at the end of the day, someone else who knows it's going to go, that's not right.
No,
that's not how it goes. It's like you put the P in the wrong place. And the Quran is not super long. We're talking about the same size as the Gospels, not the entire New Testament. It's not like this huge long thing. It's impossible to memorize.
It's quite a small book.
Yeah. So like kids that are like 6 and 7 have memorized it. You'll find loads of kids even in London who are like 6 and 7 who have memorized it. So that's why we have like a lot of evidence in the fact. But I do get, like, I'm from a Christian background, it can be a little bit like, everything's changed, because like when you look at the way the Bible has changed, it's changed a lot. And the earliest manuscripts they have are the Codex Vaticanus and Codex Sinaiticus, and they're 400 years after Jesus. And they're the earliest manuscripts. They don't have anything earlier than that. And like, for example, the King James Version like has is very different to the manuscripts. But yeah. Anything else about the video that was interesting before I go on a topic all about that?
Yeah, I just liked how he was telling us to just stop and think about why it is that you're doing what you're doing, and you're not just, living on autopilot, which is a nice thought to kind of leave us with.
That mindfulness, like the present is the only moment that's real kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And just also to stop and assess why you value the things that you're being told to value.
Interesting. Yeah, why is that important to you?
Yeah.
Is that because like it's been because someone's told you, or is it because it genuinely is important to you?
Yeah, and what you value, and how to make your life matter in your eyes. Very interesting, because we all have that worldview, right? Like sometimes we think we're exempt from like having like our own worldview. Like we think we're like, everyone else has their culture, but then we don't. But everyone has their own glasses that they see the world in, and that's influenced by lots of different things. And sometimes it is worth just thinking, like, that thing that I'm thinking or that thing that I'm feeling, is it valid? Like, is it like, does it align with me, or is it something that I've been taught that's not actually serving me? Interesting. Exactly.
I would just say, what I like is what he was saying at the beginning there about, material things and status and all those kinds of things. When I was younger, and probably a lot of younger people, even older people probably, they can think that happiness and joy can come from those things. but it's one of those, it's a momentarily thing, if it's anything at that. What you tend to find is it's kind of a never-ending, I never have enough. Whereas when you have a kind of sense of what you are wanting on a day-to-day life that probably doesn't cost you money and squishing other people down and all that sort of stuff, is a tangent. You can get that without having to expend all that energy on things or status or any of those things, which I like. Yeah, absolutely. That message is definitely true, that I don't think that any of those things are going to pay me into a better place.
And you know what? It's not easy to fight against that, because we're living in a world where we have billion-dollar corporations that spend all their money marketing to us that we're not good enough.
Yeah,
we need
and researching
products.
the most effective way on how to market that by getting inside our heads.
Yeah, you're not good enough. You don't have this. You don't have that. It's constant. Especially for women. Like our messaging is just constant. Yeah. You can't walk out in the street without getting something within like the first few seconds of even walking out the street. Yeah, it's a lot. Anything else you guys find interesting? What about the scientific miracles?
I didn't know that about the Quran, that those things were, but like I said, I haven't read it yet, so it's really hard for me to have any any kind of like knowledge of it without having ever read it. One thing I would like is if they had, I don't know if you guys have that, they have this for the Bible where you can have daily readers and it'll tell you to read this a little bit and then give you a little bit of an interpretation.
Do you mean like an app on the phone?
I don't know if it's an app. Or
yeah, we have apps like that, yeah.
Because that's the only way I'll read it, is if I do it in little chunks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's some really good apps like that. And it's better to like take things slowly anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Then I get the real
essence.
Yeah, because I find with spiritual context or books of any kind, because I've read the Tibetan book of Living and Dying, the Bible, I'm trying to think of any other major religion that I've read. The Quran is the next one I would like to read. Is the more I slow down and read it, the more it has I can dig into the actual what it's telling me about my life and what it the message in the words.